And welcome back. We've had plenty of rain over the past few weeks, and many of you may now be dealing with something a little extra, pests in your garden.
Yeah, our friend Doug Oster has some simple and organic ways to keep the good bugs in and send the bad ones packing.
Welcome to the summer garden. It has been a great first half of the season. Warm temperatures, plenty of rain have caused an explosion in growth, but also in pests. Today we're going to learn how to deal with those pests safely and organically, and the first one on the list are cabbage worms. Cabbage worms affect kale, cabbage, collards, broccoli, anything from that family, and they will pretty much defoliate a plant. What happens is this white butterfly lands on the plant, lays its eggs, and then this is what the cabbage worm looks like and starts feeding. And boy, I got to these late, but my first line of defense is hand picking. If you can't stomach that, the next thing, this is called Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew. Isn't that a great name? And it's a safe way to deal with the pest because we spray it on the plant, the pest will ingest it, and then it affects its nervous system, and then no more feeding on our cabbage or our kale. It also works on other chewing insects too, like Japanese beetles. There's one more thing though that I do for cabbage worms in an organic garden that has made this garden completely free of any cabbage worms. Shh, there's babies sleeping in there. In an organic garden with no chemical pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizers, the birds are free to feed on anything they want. And there are a pair of wrens that have nested in here, and the babies are in there, and they literally need hundreds of caterpillars to feed their brood. And since they've moved in, after I did that hand picking, there is not one cabbage worm in here. Remember that when you're dealing with pests, 99% of the insects in the garden are either good or benign, so we don't want to use a broad spectrum pesticide that will kill the good bugs and our soil life underneath. We're trying to target the specific pest and deal with it safely. Next up are aphids, and they can infest a plant. I've been fielding lots of questions about aphids, and when I see an infestation like this on a hibiscus plant, I think that plant doesn't have everything it needs. In organic gardening, we're always adding compost. We want fertile soil that's well drained, and that keeps the plants healthy. This one, it's sending out signals to those aphids saying, hey, I've got something you need and it's easy to get. I looked all through this garden and I could not find one aphid. That's because everything is improved with compost and they're just growing strong. The first thing we'll do with aphids, if you got an infestation like that, blow them off the plant with a strong hose spray. Second thing is this, it's called horticultural oil. And you can buy it in a spray bottle, but I use it as a concentrate, mix it up into a sprayer like this, and then you just coat the insect, and it works for aphids, spider mites, whiteflies, any of these soft-bodied insects. You can just spray this, cover them, it suffocates them, and no more aphids. Now, if you couldn't stomach cabbage worms, you might want to turn away for our next pest. This is a slug, and they love warm, wet weather. It's basically just a snail without a shell. And they'll hide during the day under this mulch, and then at night come out and feed, and that's what confounds gardeners. You can see some slug damage on these peppers, just a little bit. Sometimes you'll see a silvery, slimy trail, but the easiest way to deal with them is this stuff. It's called Sluggo. It just overdoses the slug on iron. Nothing else will eat these little pellets. You just sprinkle it down, and your slugs will be gone. Now, the other thing people do for slugs, they'll trap them with stale beer. That's a waste of good beer. Now, you can control any pest problem organically. Back to you in the studio.
Wow.
Can't be wasting beer.
I know, I love his tips, and I love that last tip in particular. Yeah. You don't want to waste beer. He's my inspiration gardener. Okay. Like, I mean, if I were going to take the time to garden, he's the one that would make you think, like, yeah, I can do it. Yeah. But his yard is amazing.
No, it always is, and unfortunately, you know, I've always had one neighbor on one side of me. They just have done an amazing job with their yard. I now have a new neighbor on the other side that also does an amazing job with her yard.
So you're gonna have to step it up.
No, I'm just gonna be the house that's like, I'll bring the averages down just a little bit.
There's Ron's house in the middle there.
Well, you can find more gardening information at Doug's website. To find that, all you have to do is go to kdka.com, PTL, and follow the links.